Normally, when I talk about Quadeca, or Quadeca, however you're supposed to say it, I end up sharing memories of listening to the music with my now deceased father. But I'm not going to do that. I've done that enough. Check out my older videos on Quadeca's work, where I think it's pretty interesting. But instead, I'm going to be looking forward. I want to talk about what it's like listening to this album with two younger people, one 3-year-old daughter. Okay, I listen to this album a lot with her. My entire house has COVID. My wife, my 3 daughters, myself. It's been a really rough week, and this album's actually really been helping us. But there's actually some other young person who I've been listening to this album with, who's a pretty interesting guy. His name is me. His name is me when I was like 24 years old. Like half of my life ago. I'm turning 48 in like a month. And this album doesn't just express how I felt when I was 24. It's more that it is the exact kind of expression that I was trying to make about being that age when I was making music back then. You know, I listen to a lot of music by younger people, and that's what interests me the most. It's not that I get to listen to it and go like, I remember being young and going out on the old port and chain smoking and drinking pastis and hanging out with my friends and flirting with weird German girls. No. I mean, yeah, I do remember all that stuff. but that's not actually what being young is really about. Being young is about pain. It's about uncertainty. It's about feeling lost. It sucks. And it's one of the things I try to do on this channel is help young people understand that middle age is not a death sentence. That's like where life begins. Because the whole 20s bit, it's just a mess. Just try to get through it. That's my piece of advice. So this album, Vanisher, Horizon Scraper, is so wild to me because as I was listening to it, I had like a lightning bolt, a thunder clap. I wrote a song. Okay, so you see behind me my guitar. That's Leroy. It's my guitar. I bought it when I lived in Marseille 25 years ago. And it was this point in my life where I didn't really know what I was doing. I had like a long-distance girlfriend, and I was traveling, and I was young, and I was hot, and I was confused, and I was having just this crazy life. And I ended up like taking a container ship from Hamburg to Montreal. I was so afraid of flying that instead of flying back over the Atlantic, I took a container ship. And so when I was on that boat, I had this whole cosmic relationship with the ocean and with the horizon and with the nature of water. Seriously, it was a really far out time. And I started writing this song. It was called Useless Ulysses. At the end of this video, I will play the song for you and tell you who is going to help me finish the song. It's an exciting announcement at the end of this video. But I half wrote this song. And it was called Useless Ulysses because I was fascinated by the Odyssey. If you've never read the Odyssey, please read it. Don't read it in prose. Read it in verse. Read it so it doesn't rhyme. Otherwise, it's too annoying. But it was so great because while I was on this boat, I felt like Odysseus. I felt like Ulysses. I felt like I was on this grand journey. Except heroes on the ocean have a point. What if Odysseus was just a jellyfish? What if he was just floating around out there? What if it took him so long to get back home because he didn't know what he was doing? That was what the song was about. And that's what a lot of this album feels like to me. And it's all tied into this specific feeling of being 24 or 25 years old. Being 21 is very different than being 18. It's just as different being 24 as it is to being 21. We don't talk about this a lot, but when you hit 24 or 25, when you're starting to approach the back half of your 20s, you realize that whatever the consequencelessness that you perceived of is going away. Whatever kind of imperviousness, invulnerability, whatever that is going away. You are closer to the point where you have to figure your stuff out than you are from the point where you get to say life is a highway and I want to ride it all night long. That's the point that he's singing from. And it's exactly half of my life ago that I felt this way. Half my life ago, I tried and failed to write a single song. You'll hear it. It's not a bad song. It's a little pretentious, but what are you going to do? I was 24. Half my life ago, I tried to write a song about this emotion. And right now, this guy, who was literally born in October 2000, when I was going to my first ever soccer games at the Velodrome in Marseille, right? Like back then, when I was going through what he was going through now, I was being born. And it's what good artists do. It doesn't matter age. What good artists do is they help you mediate your own life experience. And so I don't know why I am now starting to properly mediate my lived experience. At the time when I lived in Marseille, I basically only listened to Hank Williams. Not a bad choice. Senior. Not a bad choice. If you're going through stuff, you could do worse than the complete works of Hank Williams. But I wish I had this. I wish I had this because of how eloquently it describes it. And it's all in the title, by the way. It's all in this title. Dude, what is this title? Vanisher Horizon Scraper. It's kind of an unwieldy title. But it says everything. Because it's a vanisher. This is the feeling that I had. So I had this, long distance girlfriend. I had my family back home. I was out. Now listen, I don't think he's abroad. I don't think he's going junior abroad, or I don't think he's teaching English in France for a year like I was. I think it's more metaphysical that he's talking about than actual physical, as far as this distance, as far as the feeling of being out on the waves. But I'm sure as a touring musician, I'm sure as somebody who's traveling all over the world, following their art, there's a degree to which you just vanish. There's people who know you, people who love you, people who know who you really are, not this version of yourself that you're able to present to the world, and you have vanished. And why have you vanished? You vanished because there's something that you want to get. There's something that you know is there. You see the horizon and you want to scrape it. You want to touch the horizon. No, this is not a Truman Show allegory. But if you wanted to say this entire album is actually, like, if you sync it up to Truman Show, by the way, if you sync this album up to Truman Show, it matches exactly. Minute for minute, like Dark Side of the Moon and Wizard of Oz. Don't look that up. I'm absolutely bullshitting right now. But like, you can't touch the horizon. And I will say, having spent 8 days on an ocean, by the way, if you've never crossed an ocean, you should. It's a good thing to do at some point. You understand how insanely large the world is, how much goddamn water there is. There's just so much water. But when you're out there and you see the horizon, you understand that the horizon, you'll never reach it. That the world is impossibly big, that is an impossible goal. It's like, you know how they talk about the pot of gold under the rainbow? Do you actually understand why they say that? They say that because, like, you can't get under the rainbow. It's an optical impossibility. The rainbow doesn't exist. The rainbow is only an effect of light refracting off of moisture. Don't check my science. I think that's right. You can't touch the horizon. It just keeps pushing back. So what is this desire? Is this the desire to vanish? Is it the desire to escape? Is it the artistic creation? Is it the feeling of emptiness and loneliness at home and knowing that you feel more when you are Odysseus, when you are Ulysses, out on the waves and fighting the sirens and fighting one-eyed monsters? Fighting moon eaters? We'll get to that. I don't know. I think it's all of it. And I think it's amazingly relatable. And I think it's a concept album that completely works because it is not overly conceptual. But when you are like in the concept, when you kind of like link up to it, and you're sort of like, you totally get it. And just in general, by the way, humanity, this is a humanity thing. We need to reconnect with water metaphors, with oceanic metaphors. And I'm not going to start talking about like the history of the West. The history of human beings is mostly how close can we get to the ocean. Right? That's what we've spent much of our life doing. And for most of our existence, we have not been able to do anything with the ocean. It's just this gigantic, gaping, horrific murder pool. And it's the power of the ocean, because we can fly over it, because we can take boats over it, because we have satellite photography of it, all that. It's kind of lost some of that mystery. And I think that Quadeca has managed to bring some of that back. Because I thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show hosted by a French professor, I don't get to teach much French. I don't get to teach much Renaissance French poetry anymore. But this reminds me of a poem by Joachim du Bellay from 1558 from his collection Les Regrets, Regrets. Heureux qui, comme Ulysse, a fait un beau voyage. Happy is he who, like Ulysses, has had a nice voyage. Or like the one who got the golden fleece, and then came home full of wisdom to live amongst his family the rest of his days. It's an entire poem about the sense of exile. Now, Du Bellay was living in Italy. That's how big the world used to be. He was French and he was living in Italy, and he wrote this entire book about being exiled and impossibly far away. It's like, dude, just cross those mountains, you'll be there. But the world used to be big. But I love this idea because I feel like this album is an album of someone who is not happy like Ulysses. He is not somebody who is coming home full of wisdom to live amongst his families the rest of his days. It feels to me like somebody who has gained wisdom through drowning in the ocean. Like from the moment from the moment that life leaves his body, he's like, "Oh, I get it." And then this album is written from that perspective. So it's a theme I completely relate to. I have a couple more sort of assorted notes. You also see back there Quadrophenia by The Who. It's interesting. I think you could draw an interesting parallel between them. Like Pete Townsend, Quadeca is pretty wrapped up in concept albums. And this album, Quadrophenia, Quadeca, anyways. Ben Quadraneros, all my episode 1 fans. So, like, that album is about somebody trying to figure out who he is and feeling like his own personality is split into 4. And there is a whole bunch of stuff because he lives in the story. He lives on the ocean side, and there's a lot of ocean sounds. So, if you want to expand your musical taste. If you love Quadeca and you want to expand your musical taste to like very aggressive Morning Dove. Were you a Paris fan? If you want to expand your musical taste, you could do worse than listen to Quadrophenia, even though that was made before I was born. It's one of those albums where you're like, wow. I've got a Gibson without a case, but I still can't get that smooth, clean skin on my face. Something like that. Anyways, beautiful, beautiful lyrics. Some more thoughts on Quadeca. Am I going to be the first person to say it, or is this just something that everyone has said? He's kind of the musical Timothée Chalamet. Hear me out. Young, handsome guy. You sort of want to hate him because there's a lot of YouTube hip hop rapper guy, let's player kid from you sort of, there's something about him that you want to dislike, but then you see his performances and you see what he's able to do and you see his creativity and you just got to give it up, man. You got to give it up. Timothée Chalamet is a great actor. It doesn't matter how much you want to dislike him. He's great. So I don't know. To me, there's. Tell me in the comments if I'm crazy. And also, the soccer thing. That's not nothing. Timothée Chalamet. Do you know what his nickname was when he was growing up in New York? Soccer Timmy, because he was so into soccer. He's a Saint Etienne fan. That's a pretty cool team to support if you're a French soccer fan. And obviously, I'm wearing this jersey because I watched an interview with Quadeca where he apparently used to only want to wear soccer jerseys, and this is like the world's best soccer jersey. This is the Marseille jersey from the years that I watched them. And not for nothing, but I think the World Cup is coming, and I think Quadeca's manager has to contact Timothée Chalamet, and I think Quadeca and Timothée Chalamet need to do some kind of soccer's coming to America, get excited young people videos. I think it would work. I'll be on there too if you want. My rate's pretty good. Throw me on there. Fly me out to LA, okay? But the World Cup's coming to America. We can't just let Trump have all of it. There's a lot of cool people who are into soccer right now. Anyways, And then speaking of the sort of Timothy Chalamet thing, I think what makes Quadeca so fascinating, and this is just as a total outsider, right? I'm happily married, got kids, dogs, whole thing. But like, it seems like part of his allure is there's a lyric on this album where he says that he was picked last on a winning team and picked first on a losing team. Those are two different people. And I think Quadeca is the person who is picked first on a losing team, which means he's not the cool kid, right? But he's the kid who is like, sports dynamics are very tricky amongst young men. Amongst young men who are trying to be lobsters, it's very difficult with young men because there sometimes are kids who are good at sports and not popular, but they're so good at sports that the popular kids can't actually fully just dunk on them because, like, you know, if you're good at sports, you have value, right? So I think that's who he is. I think he's the guy who's picked first on a losing team. I imagine the jocks in high school had begrudging respect for him. And I think he is making music for the kids who were picked last on the winning team. The kids who were the last picked. The nerds, the kind of like outsiders. But like the thing is, I used to be that kid who was picked last on a winning team, right? Unless it was basketball, in which case I was picked like third to last because I'm a little bit tall. But any other sport, I'd be picked last on the winning team. Like, you always know, oh, that kid, he's actually kind of cool. That kid who's actually good at the sports and who's actually like kind of good with girls and actually kind of handsome and like, he's actually a good guy. And that's an important person. That's an important person that is hard to find. Anyways, another random note on Quadeca, his importance. I just been thinking about this because we live in a world now where there's going to be more and more celebrities who do things that old people can't understand, right? In particular in the streaming zone. So recently, I took issue with a video game streamer and gambling addiction groomer. If you promote gambling to teenagers, you are a gambling groomer. Let's get that one going. GAG, Gambling Addiction Groomer, XQC. That's what the C stands for in XQC. I took issue with him saying that rap music lyrics don't matter. And then he like went on a live stream and like went after me, which is cool, right? Hey, I've made it. Academics and XQC have both gone after me. Awesome. But he said something while he was sort of attacking me to defend himself. Well, first he said that he was rage baiting and then he doubled down. That doesn't make sense. But he said something to the camera like 3 times in a row. He goes, I'm a consumer. I consume. I consume, buddy. That's what he said. That's what he said to the camera, straight to me. XQC. What's his name? What's this guy's name? XQC? He looked at me in the camera and said, I consume, buddy. I'm the buddy in that sentence. And I think the pleasure of doing this channel, the pleasure of actually paying attention to youth culture is basically you have the world of the sheep and the goats. You know what I'm saying? You have the good and the bad. You have someone like XQC who rises to fame through virtually nothing, maintains fame, converts that to grooming people into online gambling, and is proudly anti-intellectual, proudly anti-thought, proudly anti-humanist. And then you have somebody who, from the outside, follows a somewhat similar trajectory, you know, sort of like online beefing with streamers through rap and sort of doing like this. So I think that's the good and the bad of this Generation Z or Alpha. I don't even care what generation it is. It's not mine. Point is, young people these days, I think there's the tragedy of XQC and then there's the glory of Quadeca. So let's actually get to the album. How long have I been talking about this album without talking about this album? 20 minutes? Sweet. My 17-year-old is watching my 3-year-old in there, so that's good. So I wanted to respect this album. Quadeca fans are really insistent on me reviewing this album. I've been getting a lot of messages. Sky, when are you reviewing Quadeca? Listen, I've had COVID for like a week. My family's had COVID. I slept on the floor of my daughter's room yesterday. When you hit 47 years old, you don't want to be sleeping on the floor. It's been rough. But I wanted to give it the respect and the time that it needs. Because from the first time I listened to the first song, I was like, clear my schedule. This is going to require some time. But I want to really respect it. And the fact that he released it as an album and as a movie at the same time, the first time I listened to it was the first time I watched it. So I'm going to give you a review of each song, starting with the movie, and then backing up and talking about the music and seeing how they are together. So my first listen was a watch. I was watching it with my 3-year-old. And, you know, it's not a particularly narratively engaging movie for a 3-year-old, but she enjoyed it. And every once in a while she'd just go, Papi, what Quadeca doing? What Quadeca doing? So, anyways, if you can imagine that, that's what it was like. What's Quadeca doing? He's playing with a rope in like a bog. What bog? Water. He's in. Now he's on a boat. What Quadeca doing? I will say that I was able to listen to this without getting too sad thinking about my dad. But my dad was obsessed at the end of his life. By the way, if you have old people in your life, get them Netflix, get them Amazon, and most importantly, get them BritBox. Get them detective shows that take place in other countries. My dad, I guess he knew it was towards the end of his life, would just watch detective shows from like Finland and Estonia and Sweden and France and England and Russia. He would just watch detective shows anywhere, and they would have all these beautiful, like, vistas and landscapes. And he would tell me all about how beautiful all these places are. That's how I feel like watching this Quadeca video, because there's so many beautiful places. I felt like my dad being like, how do I go there? How do I make it to that place? Where is he? He is unparalleled at finding cool places to put himself. So here's the thing. I don't know. I think his music career is going well, so that's good. But if it falls through, there is a job in Hollywood called location manager. That's the person who's responsible for finding where to film. All right? Weirdly enough, John Sales's location manager was a friend of my parents. She came by my house once when I was like 10 years old. I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know what's going on in my family. But that happened. But like, it's a hard job. And I think that he deserves credit as like the best location manager in music history. I don't know where he finds these places. He turns himself into a model. He goes somewhere and he models in these places, and it matches the music perfectly. And it is, like I said, I was watching this interview and he was describing that it's like expensive, but not like as expensive. Like, artists get more money than it costs to do this. So why are they not all doing this? And it ends up being, Zach Sang. That was the name of the interview. It was a great interview. People ask me why I don't do more interviews. It's hard doing interviews. I don't think I'm okay at it. But man, Zach Sang, that guy, got a great interview out of Quadeca. But like, it's like his music is like this movie where you watch it and you kind of throw your hands up. I mean, not like, hey, ho. I mean, you do that a little bit too. You throw your hands in the air like you do just care. You like throw your hands up in the air just like, man, just, some people just have vision, and I'm going to say it, some people have genius. And you just have to appreciate it. So I don't know, this kid who was born the month that I bought that guitar back there, he has an ability to present things visually and musically in a way that's totally cohesive and if the world were paying more attention, he would be as famous as Timothée Chalamet. My idea, FIFA, Infantino, get on this. I'm telling you. Get Soccer Timmy and Fiorentina Benny, and you get them together. All right, let's go through the album, shall we? It starts off with the song No Questions Asked, where he's in the sand, sort of on the shore, and we see his sails. And it's interesting that it starts off, the whole thing takes place on largely on the ocean, but here we're starting on the shore, which is a strange choice. I think it's on purpose. Of course it is. And there's these like tattered up sails that are out to dry, and he's dressed like like he's in a Kanye West fashion show in 2016. Very derelict, the way that he's dressed here. But the song itself is just so gentle and sweet. You know, most of this album, it feels like is a waltz. I don't know if that's true, but most of it feels that way. He apparently, this is from Chico Basque, some Brazilian singer. Okay. Marseille was this close to getting Neymar. Damn, that would have been funny. But it's this great song, and you hear the waves, and it's an incantation. We're on the shore. It's the song that's going to bring us into the ocean. It's the song for pushing the boat out into the water, all right? And it's got all these layers and these squeaky noises, and almost like a Radiohead-ish, Discordy restarting sample of voice, and these rising piano octaves. And this female voice singing in the back. I don't usually watch Fantano's reviews before I do a review, but I'm just like you. Stars, they're just like us. I see the yellow flannel. I gotta watch. I gotta see what he says. And he was wrong about this song. So, I would like to propose a different reading. He said something which makes sense, which is like, this song doesn't fit at the beginning because it's like kind of an uplifting song about how he will be there for somebody. The lyrics are like, I will be there when no one is, no questions asked. But I think this is important for two reasons. One, this is the lie that he is going to escape. That it starts off with him saying, I'll be there for you, right? But in reality, it's like, I'm going to be in the middle of the ocean fighting dragons. Okay, that's the actual reality. He's leaving. He's going to go scrape the horizon. Or, because it's the same tune that ends the album, and he knows most people are going to be listening on streaming, and it's going to be kind of curling over, maybe it's actually a lot less of a singular narrative. We're thinking of this, if you read the album, just like it's a straight line. It's like there's a guy, and he goes out, and he fights a dragon, and then he drowns to death, and he's dead. Or you can read it as like the beginning being him returning after drowning or after almost drowning. By starting off the album like this, as far as I can tell, it makes it more eternal. Have you spent time by the ocean? I've spent a fair amount of time by the ocean. Whenever you're like looking at the waves, there's a couple things to realize. One, the waves are just more ocean. It's weird. But the other thing is, if you're ever sitting on a shore by the ocean and you see the waves coming in, you need to understand that those waves have been coming in like that and doing that for like hundreds of millions of years, and they will continue to do so for hundreds of millions of years. There's something about the ocean which is freeingly, it dwarfs you. It makes you feel small, but it also makes everything feel so cyclical, right? Because it's all tied into the moon and the tides and the whole thing. So to me, starting off like this makes sense. This is either who he was before he disappeared, or this is him coming back when you listen the second time, or it's his ghost. The Casper ghost at the end is coming back. He didn't mean to haunt you, but he is again. I don't know. I gave you like 5 different readings of this song, and I'm not sure any of them are accurate, but I think all of them work. Next song is called Waging War. He looks like a little Dementor from Harry Potter with this hood on. I know we don't like Harry Potter anymore because of the bigotry of J.K. Rowling, but I still like the Mentors. And he's just sitting in front of the lighthouse. He's just badass. I'm just badass for my lighthouse. I'm so jealous of this guy. I remember once I went to a Halloween party, and I was in grad school, and there was a guy, he's just impossibly handsome guy. And he comes to the Halloween party dressed up as James Bond, wearing a tuxedo. I almost punched him in the face. I'm like, dude, you are already hot enough. You don't need to make the rest of us look worse. So Quadeca's out here making this amazing album, sitting up there on the beach, and he's in front of the thing. Anyways, that's awesome. And I love the tension because there's a lighthouse, and lighthouses, like there's so much tension for when that light is going to come back. How do they make lighthouses, by the way? Have you ever thought about lighthouses? The older you get, the more you just think about stuff, and you're just like, how does that work? How did somebody go, I'm going to put a little house on a rock in the middle of the ocean, and it's going to project light? What was it I was reading? It's a different, okay, I'm going to put this in the comments. It was Tall Tales, Mark Pritchard and Tom York. They have a whole thing about lighthouses. They have a whole little essay in there. Lighthouses are almost outside of capitalism because there's no money. They are just a public good. That's all they do. You can't make money off of a lighthouse. Anyways. The drums start crashing as he's like walking around with this rope in slow motion. Then eventually we have some actual like special effects with his heart hanging over him, and the heart itself looks almost like a castle. We see him smoke a cigarette, which I'm not a big fan of, but I will say I did used to smoke. Obviously, I mean, I lived in France in 1999, 2000, 2001. But yeah. Smoking on a boat on the ocean. That's the best place in the world to smoke. I will say that. Because, you're just sort of like, what else am I doing? What's Quadeca doing? Don't do that. So then if you actually listen to the song, not watching the video, you have these crazy detuned guitars playing in either ear that somehow work. And we have the nature of these questions. Do you remember that movie, Zoolander? Who am I? That's what this is. Who am I? When the motion stops. Who am I when the light is low and there's no horizon? Who am I when I wash ashore? I can't visualize it. Do you understand what I'm saying about my life? I know who I am. I'm all good. I'm all set. I'm set like a tennis match. I'm set like a table. All right? I'm set like a frustrating card game. All right? But who am I when I wash ashore? I can't visualize it. Those were the lyrics I was trying to write 25 years ago. And then this unexpected percussion climbs in the back, and this kind of clapping and this like little military snare. You just throw your hands up. You're just like, why is Timothée Chalamet actually such a good actor? He shouldn't be such a good actor. He should be a 4A actor. Quadeca should be a 4A. He should be a good musician for a YouTuber. Get a little bit sort of old style Quadeca with this kind of auto-tune voice and sped up just a little bit. This quick change, and then it falls apart, and there's these strings, and I surrender to my heart. I surrender to my heart. Like he's like surrendering to his passion, to his desire. Like, what is he surrendering to? What does this mean? I'm too vulnerable to kill. I'm becoming a hater. I hate this guy. Trash. No good. He's a YouTube rapper who just does bad stuff. He's the same thing as XQC, really, if you think about it. I'm too vulnerable to kill. Sometimes artists write lyrics, and the first time you hear them, it's like you can imagine a little tiny guy. Imagine like a little garden gnome, okay, who crawls into my ear, has a little pickaxe, and goes through my brain and finds a little part somewhere in my brain, somewhere in my cerebellum, and just goes tick, 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 writes down, I'm too vulnerable to kill, and then sticks that in my little crevice in my brain. That's what that lyric is going to be. At my weakest, I'm everybody else. Who am I? Over and over and over and over again. this needs to be said. It needs to be said. It just needs to be said. This kind of stuff needs to be said. Young people need to know that it's okay to not know where you are, to know who you are, to know what you're doing. Young people need to feel okay with the fact that being young is the worst goddamn curse you could possibly have. Just get through it. Because the problem is you're told the entire time you're young that it's great because you get to go have rooftop parties drinking Michelob Ultra with your friends in New York City while playing ping pong and going to the beach and playing volleyball. It's all a lie. They just want you to get into debt. That's it. That's all they're trying to do. They're just trying to put you in debt. That's all the FOMO thing is. Just get through it. Just get through it. Get back on the boat. Get back home. Go get some therapy. Ruined my life. I like this with the movie because, he's playing a guitar on a boat, kind of split screen with him working below and above. I do appreciate that he admitted on that Sang interview that he had to learn how to sail in order to make this movie because, that's interesting. It is a weird thing. Did you see the most recent Jurassic Park movie? That is like the fourth best Jurassic Park movie. It's a good movie. There's a whole part where there's like these people on a boat. It doesn't really quite make sense. So the entire time I was kind of wondering if there wasn't going to be a Mosasaurus interaction here. He's doing some navigating. He's doing some reading. One of the best reasons to go across the ocean on a boat if you can. So I went on a container ship, which is very cool because I understood international commerce way better. The entire crew was Indian. And so I ate Indian food every day, but it was like peasant Indian food, like working, like freighter. And so it was very light. It's great food. But you read a lot because you don't have much to do. I read the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy just on that time. So the music itself, this sweet, nice guitar line, this lilting waltz, these little noodly guitars behind. He said that the Brazilian influence was really huge. And listen, man, we had the Jordy Griep last year, and then we have this year. There's a real sort of Brazilian thing happening. And there's a Brazilian album I think I need to review. Someone wrote me a long message about it. It seemed interesting. When I was young, I was so certain I thought I would find my person. Still I am young, or so they tell me. All of the time the world is here to help me. So it's always funny when young people say they're young. My 3-year-old will say that. My 3-year-old will be like, when I was young, I had a high chair. It's like, well, you still have a high chair. It's a different high chair, but it doesn't matter. But it's true. It's how you feel. It's how you feel when you hit 24, 25. You feel like you're not young anymore. All of the time in the world here to help me. I don't agree with that. When you're young, you don't have all the time in the world, because part of the curse of being young is the sense of impatience and the sense of like everything being really important. The older you get, the more free you are because you understand how unimportant most of your decisions are. You know what I mean? Like, should I major in computer science or computer information systems? I don't know, man. Just, you want to major in history? Major in history. It doesn't really matter. Like there's just a lot of stuff that seems really important that isn't really. So yeah, such amazing product. That's the thing. Like I don't know how long this video is going to be. It's going to be pretty long, I can tell. But like, I could just spend an entire video just trying to like, ooh, hey. I know that Quadeca sometimes watches my videos. He sent me this really nice version of Scrapyard. I'm not going to show you what he wrote to me, but he wrote me a nice little note on the inside here. Can we get instrumentals? Can we get an instrumental version of this album? That'd be pretty dope. Because the lyrics are great and they work really well, but I sort of want to get a little bit more lost in the music. Because just like these little flutes in the background, I think a lot about Pet Sounds with this album. I mean, I'm not saying it's Pet Sounds. It's a good album. It's not Pet Sounds. But also just because, come on the sloop, John B., grandfather and me. The whole time I just, when I saw him on the boat, I just had Sloop John B. in my head. But the box set of of Pet Sounds is so cool because one of the discs is just the entire album a cappella, and then the other one is just instrumentals. I would love to hear it because the way the flutes are used and the guitar and the production on this album, it's outrageous. He does just the right amount of rapping on this project, which is great. Like he sings, he raps. There's no genre. This is the young men these days. They don't give a shit about genre. Whatever. He can rap, so he raps sometimes. He can sing, so he sings sometimes. It's kind of bossa nova at times. I don't know. It's kind of rock. I don't know. Why are you up my ass about this? I need you to get all the way out, just because I'm just going to make music, right? And then this just drum work is just... drum work is nuts. It's nuts. While he's, what have you done? And it falls apart. There might be some theremin in here. I don't know. Some kind of sample in here. Maybe some kind of strange sample in the waves. And then we get Godstained. Great band. I saw them at the Warped Tour. Godstained. They were like a heavy metal rap combo, but they were like heavier on the heavy metal bit. So Godstained, more high guitar. He's like singing in front of these old ships in his jumpsuit. And there's like this, okay, this is my least favorite part of the video because it feels to me like it's too much like symbols. Like you got to pause it and read what it says on the bottle. And he's wearing some kind of weird suit thing made out of old wrappers or something. I don't know. This feels a little too much like for the nerds. But what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? This is somebody who was picked first on a losing team playing for people who were picked last on a winning team. I don't know if I ever told you this story. I've told it before. I went to elementary school with a kid named Doug Conley, who was like the best at sports and everything. And we were in the finals of our youth basketball league. And he forgot his shirt. And I was basically as tall as him. So I sat on the bench with my shirt out, with like my little like boy boobs and just my gut. And I just sat there just by myself while he wore my jersey. And we won the championship. And they sprayed soda all over my shirt while he was wearing it. And I'm just sitting there just as, like, I could not have been more insecure. So anyways, Quadeca is if Doug Conley was actually cool. I wonder what he's up to these days. I heard he was doing like landscaping or something. I don't know. He was a nice enough kid, but I don't think he's making any masterpieces. So the song itself is almost neo-soul. It's like singing sweetly with this guitar. I think what he's done on this project is he's figured out how to work with studio musicians, which is sort of like... this fucking guy, man. Shit. If he figures out how to like properly use studio musicians while keeping his sense as a producer... we are in trouble, everybody. This is going to be an issue. Some seagulls there. Starts to do some like clapping with this double guitar and flutes. Not clapping, I mean snapping. Right? There's sort of like that neo-soul snapping. And then this singing and this high falsetto and this cool stutter step rhythm. I thought you knew, no matter how much I feel like the paper and plastic, I still find a way to get back to you, because I thought you knew, coming back home, I'll be there a little bit slower, don't you see, I'll never get over you. I don't know if he's read the Odyssey. There's no direct Odyssey references in here, but that's the whole thing. The Odyssey is the story of this guy who's coming back from a war to get back to his wife, Penelope, okay? She's back home, and he has to get back home, but he just cannot fucking get home. He gets like... he keeps landing on all these islands and going on all these adventures and having to fight all these monsters, and it's this whole thing. So, I don't know. It feels very Odysseus-y. At a time like this, he's kind of hanging off the bow of the ship. It's kind of noisy. There's like a nice little sunset there. My biggest problem with the movie, I hate to be that guy. I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be that guy. Yeah, Fantano had his criticism. My criticism is... you can see another ship on the horizon in this shot. Filming on the water is terrible. That's why Waterworld was so expensive to shoot, and Titanic. One great movie, and the other one's Titanic. But like, it's so hard filming on water, and part of it's because like if there's another ship in the distance, you just have to wait for it to go. So to me, that blew it for me because I'm sitting there, I'm trying to like give into this idea of him being lost out somewhere. But if there's another ship, it kind of saves you. Whatever. And he's got like a little globe, and then I believe he's in front of Mont Saint Michel in France, one of the most beautiful places. It's this mountain it's this castle up on a hill. I've never been there. I've spent like 2 years of my life in France, but I've never been to Mont Saint Michel. Why? I don't know. It's weird. It's sort of like how, some people like that wasn't cool at all, but I guess my computer got too hot out there. So anyways, I'm in my basement now. The lighting's not as cool. We got some air conditioning sound behind me, but maybe that's better than the cicadas. Point is, I'm not all jerky. So I want to say that on this song, there's some like cinematic muted trumpet. I don't know. And it was at this point where I realized, hey, this is sort of like Call Me If You Get Lost, but he's lost. This is like the kind of message that Tyler wanted about getting lost. And then we get to the most Quadeca part. So what I love is that in this whole album, he's expanding, he's growing, he's doing all these different things. It's awesome, 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 awesome. But then there's just the most Quadeca bit you could ever possibly hear. Call it what you want. But there's karma in the current when it's calm. It's just it's great. It's great. Whatever, like this line, there's karma in the current when it's calm. Like it all makes sense with this theme of the ocean. Sorry, I'm a little bit out of breath, having COVID and going downstairs quickly. Whatever gets me, don't get me wrong. Whatever gets me probably had me all along. That little gnome is in my brain again, because that's the feeling that you have when you're young. You feel like, oh, whatever is going to get me is going to get me, but whatever is going to get me was always going to get me. And it's so well produced. This swirling sounds, it's almost like rage rap at a certain point, but it's clean and it's sweet all at the same time. And then these like fast drums. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. All right, so I got to figure out how to be more comfortable here. You can hear my dogs upstairs. How's this looking? Who we got back there? See, we got Smokey, got Fiona, we got Billy, got the Yugoslavian flag, Chuck Berry. Pretty good. Pretty good background. Bunch of Balašević. Good. And then we get to the song Monday. It's a cover of the song by The Cure. So it starts off with the clouds, the video, and he's back on the shore. I think that's kind of important because this is like a love song. It feels like it's almost out of place here, but maybe it's a reminder of the love that's waiting for him at home. This is the point where I realized in the video that he has a young man's beard. So when you're young, for some people, it's hard. Like I have an awesome beard, right? It's going white now, but I have an awesome beard. But it took years. It took years to actually have an actual man beard. Like connected everywhere. I had to really focus on it. I'd be like, and like little hairs would come out. So I do appreciate that in this video, a reminder of those times for me as well. These descending repetitive chords as the sun sets, and the sweet voice. It's that time of year where I start getting old. Again, it's not silly. I can say as somebody who is literally twice as old as this man, it is not silly to talk about getting old, because that's when you think about getting old. 24, 25. Had my heart on the line, airing out with my clothes. It's easy to dry, but it's harder to fold. That's a goofy lyric. That's a corny lyric, but it's a good one. Does this song sort of remind you of that song by Vanessa Carlton? If I could just see you, and I want you, and I need you. You know that song that Terry Crews sings in White Chicks? Kind of reminds me of that song in a positive way. Such a beautiful outro, this like weird like floppy bass and this ghostly singing in the back. That instrumental version of the album, I'm telling you. Dancing Without Moving. It's nighttime with the mast, and the moon on. Okay. So I realized a long time ago that my favorite thing to look at in the entire world is the moon on the ocean. If you've never seen a full moon on the ocean, just book a vacation. There's plenty of places on the ocean that aren't that expensive to stay. There's a lot of ocean. The world is mostly ocean. And seeing a full moon reflecting on the ocean is one of the most beautiful things. Now, this is not a full moon, but it has that view. It has that great meditative sound. Because that's the thing about being like lost and out on the waves and free and not knowing where you're going. It's actually a pretty good deal. My 3-year-old just kept on saying, good night, moon, because that's a good book. And the ways, and the beat kind of reminds me of that song, 20 Hours by Kanye. And at this point, my 3-year-old was done. She said, can we watch Sesame? She wanted to watch Sesame Street, so I put on some Sesame Street. Listen. You got to allow kids to watch Sesame Street sometimes. They can't always watch genreless, precociously brilliant works of art by dudes whose names you can't pronounce. I look to the night sky to copy what I do. It's dancing but cannot move. Seriously, that little gnome is working hard. The idea of the sky as dancing but not moving, it's true. The sky does dance, but it's not moving. It can't dance because it's the sky. It's like the horizon. You can't touch the horizon and the sky can't move. Clouds can move. Just, what am I supposed to do? Oh yeah, maybe you don't know this. Did you know that I was born the same day as Fiona Apple? We were born the exact same day. Isn't that fun? That's why. Here we've got my favorite bit of the movie just because there's the most happening. He's in a bog. There's a little toy boat. He's next to this fallen down house, and he's got this knot. He's got this rope that he's trying to tie up. And it's just crazy production going on in the back, and he's like trying to like get this knot knotted or unknotted, and eventually he just gives up. And this gorgeous drone photo and this kind of like chamber music in the background. Just how are all these things putting together? A lot of his dancing is in water, which reminds me of some of my favorite choreography. The song Waterfalls, produced by Rico Nasty. Same guy who had the dungeon where Outkast and Future got their start in Atlanta. In the song Waterfalls, they're dancing in water, so they can't move their legs. So I kind of get a don't go chasing waterfalls style dance movement from Quadeca. Quadeca. Why is it not Quadeca? Quadeca. It just sounds kind of silly, doesn't it? Okay. I love that he throws the rope back in. And there's a part where he's back on the boat, and I think there's some cormorants. There's a thing that he said in the Zach Sang interview where he said, how did you do it? How were you in high school and making music and playing and being a YouTuber? And he said, there's 24 hours in the day. And I just want to say that's like my saying. That's my belief. There are 24 hours a day. How am I a full-time French professor with 4 kids and a successful YouTube channel? There's 24 hours in a day. And if you don't waste all that time, especially if you don't waste that time messing up your brain chemistry, there's a lot of time to do stuff. But then this whole song is his pain at being 24. Hair's falling out since I was 16, turning gray when I was 17. I had more to say when I was 17. That self-reflection, that self-hatred, and these amazing strings and flutes. The flautist on this album deserves an extra. I feel like people who play flute eat Twizzlers, so get an extra bag of Twizzlers for the flautist. Just this bunch of guitars, just a small bit of music at a certain point, like a bunch of guitars and his voice. And if I wasn't me, would I still be me? Who am I? Zoolander. It's great. And then these great big junky drums come in. And the whole thing is that like there must be such a sense of accomplishment making music this good. I Dream About Sinking is like the center point of this album, you know? The rope is sinking and he is underwater, kind of like the Hit Me Hard and Soft Billie Eilish album cover. My 3-year-old started crying. She made me fast forward this. It was too upsetting for her to see Quadeca drowning. So there you go. But this might be the most beautiful part of the album. Listen, I get a little Aaron Copland here. I get a little Gershwin-y here. I don't know. I feel a fair amount of sophistication in the musical influences here. I want to say I love that this album is not padded with ambient stuff. Like there's just a little bit of it, but it's not padded. Then we get to the song Natural Causes, and this is like where the album turns towards darkness. This is where the paranoia is going to start creeping in. Natural Causes, he's back at the rudder. He's like rigging up the mast. He's on a walkie-talkie. This is like the next signal that there's some other human beings who could be in this whole story, because other than that, he's just been walking around alone in the wasteland. Kind of a military march here. He's trying to like fix the walkie-talkie. Maybe the most beautiful singing on the album is on this song, kind of Beach Boys-ish, kind of falsetto singing. The paranoia is just coming everywhere. Someone died on Monday, all of them died on Thursday, someone's after me, someone I can't see. All of them natural causes, all of them natural causes, always natural causes. Unexpected sounds here, curling sounds. Then we get the thunder, scary on the ocean, clicking sounds, almost kind of like the beginning of Burn the Witch by Radiohead. And he's dancing by the lighthouse. He's kind of ego tripping on this song. You know, this is kind of his more like hip hop, like kind of like swagger song. Not swag like Bieber. Is that good, by the way? I haven't listened to that album. I haven't even pressed play on Swag yet by Bieber. I just never really liked Bieber. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's good. I don't know. Tell me in the comments if you want. Black and white. Storm clouds are raging all around his head. It's the most danceable song here. The lighthouse comes back. And then at the end, I swear to God, he's trying to do a soccer chant. Oh, you know, he's trying to get like a little soccer chant going. Who doesn't want a soccer chant? But yeah, almost to like, I don't know if he's influenced by Chromacopia, but there's kind of a marching Chromacopia style military rhythm here. And then at a certain point, it almost sounds like British garage music, or like kind of avant-garde, kind of weird. Don't look at me in the eye. I love to steal your thunder. This paranoia is going along with this ego tripping all at the same time. So many influences, so many things going on here. Then we get to the great Bakunawa. And this is the point where you're watching and you just throw your hands up in the air. You're just frustrated because there's this, all of a sudden now there's a big cross. Now listen, I don't think he's trying to like convert us to any kind of religion or anything, right? But a big cross in the ocean. You got your lighthouse, which is your physical salvation, and then you got a cross, which is representative of a spiritual salvation. Now again, I don't think this is a Christian coded album. I don't think that's what this is about. But it does represent spiritual salvation. Whoever built that, whoever put that thing there, that's what they were trying to do. So I love it as we're in this song of him just walking in water. And he's not walking on water. This is no Mr. Morale. There's no Jeebus stuff going on here. He is absolutely just drowning. He is just, who was that? Sylvia Plath? Was she the one who just walked into the ocean? I think so, wasn't it? Yeah, just walking just straight into the ocean. Amazing shot where the sun is like giving out these flares and then it changes to moonlight. How did they do it? Seriously, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? Why is this so well filmed? Why? And this is more independent than it was before. It's not even on Dead Air anymore, which kind of sucks for me because I really like Dead Air. But also, I'm glad he's independent and whatever. Gais Cavado's doing stuff without Fat Possum. All these young people are starting their own labels. It's all good. But I don't know how they got such a good shot. I just don't know. Apparently, there's a sample of Barrington Levy in here, which is funny because the Jack Boys album that I didn't review, because I didn't think it was very good. Sorry to XQC. But they sample Barrington Levy on that album as well. So I saw Barrington Levy in concert once. He was great. But the whole music here, I feel like these crashing, descending strings are a sample from a not very well-known Beatles song called Blue Jay Way off of one of my favorite Beatles albums, Magical Mystery Tour. It kind of has that sound. The whole story of Bakugawa or Bakugan, right? Who's Bakugan? Is Bakugan the game, or is that the name of the? Yeah, Bakugan's the name of the game. What's the name of the Pokemon? Bagon. There we go. Totally different guys. The Great Bakugawa is a Filipino myth of somebody who eats moons, and it's only through a musician who's able to sing and drum them away, which is great. And he's got Danny Brown here again in I Didn't Mean to Haunt You. Danny Brown plays carbon monoxide, and he literally says that he likes to use Danny Brown essentially the way that Scorsese uses De Niro. Like he can always count on him to deliver something unhinged and crazy and interesting. And it's awesome. And it's great. And it's kind of silly. Good luck finding peace in the belly of the beast. And then he comes back. There's a snake in the rear view. All the paranoia on the back of this. It must be fate that I'm here too. I'll play the bait until he peers through. Bakunawa, 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 back together. And it starts to introduce this great piano sound, this kind of tacked piano sound, which is going to lead into the best song on the album, Forgone. This old piano, and you watch it in the movie. It's got the Vanisher logo, and he's playing it in the waves like that movie Piano, starring Harvey Keitel, young Anna Paquin, or is it Kirsten Dunst? Kirsten Dunst, and Harvey Keitel's penis. Those were the stars of that movie. But there's like a piano in the waves in that movie. But it's beautiful because it's like he's coming back. He's coming in from the waves. So to me, this is like him returning. And he's playing on the shore. I don't know. This maybe feels like a happy ending if it ended here. This just great chunky piano, almost like a drinking shanty at times. It's sort of almost kind of like a happy song. It starts off almost like a show tune. All in the haze, there's a life underneath you, like what you've seen. Forgone, I see the child that she once was, holding me tight like her teddy bear. So this is great because there's all this love stuff that gets mixed into this album, and this is like his love of this woman and him seeing her as a child. And so much of this is the meditation of a young person on what it's like to be younger than you are now, sort of pre-adulthood. There's a reason they leave me, and you are the one that remains. So I don't know. This feels like this is the happy ending. This feels like it could end right here. But of course it doesn't. He has to drown to death. It has to be dramatic. Just what the instrumentation. Like, this is where my ability as a music critic just stops. Because I just got to say this. The instrumentation and the production on this song is really, 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 really good. Money, please. Hey, AdSense, do I get more money? That's all I can say. Then we get to Casper, featuring Maruja, a band out of Manchester that I really should review. People have been telling me to review them, and I haven't because no good reason. I don't know. I just never listen to them, but they're great here, and the sun is setting and dissolving, and this is where those torn sails that were there in the beginning are being dragged into the water. And narratively, this is troubling because what I wanted to believe was that he was fine, that he crashed, and then he's just on this beach and he turned the sails, but now he's going back into the water. Why can't we just go somewhere that waits, that won't move away from us? Maruja's the other guy, the singer Wilkinson, something like that, from Maruja's there. Very cool instrumental. It's very neat that he's allowing someone else to finish out his very personal album. And then it ends with this crazy sound of going underwater. Just trying not to drown, kind of drowning. And the same I think it's C, D, E, E, D, C. I think those are the notes that are being played. And like I said, I read this as a hopeful kind of ending, not as a despairing kind of ending. But I don't know. It is someone drowning to death. So maybe it's not that hopeful. But I think it's just a great expression of youthful fear. My Patreons, I have to go upstairs and get I said I was going to play guitar free. You know what? I think my computer's cooled down enough. I'll go play guitar on the porch. 1 second. All right, so these are my Patreons. They give me money so I could buy music. my 17-year-old, and the 3-year-old was out on the couch, out on the back deck here, so you may hear them. Yeah, I'm reviewing Quadeca. Remember Quadeca? Yeah. Got bugs all over the place. I asked for specific shout-outs, and some people asked. Jack, Arjan Valentin, Redans, Damien, who wanted me to shout out the Quadeca._. fan page. I don't know what that is. Justin Blackensea, Hunter Tice, Zach, and Toby Repellent. So I am going to play the song. I'm going to play the song. It's very embarrassing, but it's not even me. It's 25-year-old me who wrote the song when I was on a boat from Hamburg to Montreal. So I was unable to finish this song, and so it is going to be finished. I have a collaborator, YouTuber, and online friend, Ro Ramden, is going to be finishing the song for me. I've been in touch with her. I sent her a clip of the song, and so she's going to help me finish this because I think that she can probably relate to the feelings that I was trying to communicate in this song and that Quadeca is trying to communicate in this album better than I can with my awesome kids behind me. It's okay. This sounds fine. Yeah. All right. So here's my song, Useless Ulysses, which will soon be finished. Supposed to be like ocean sounds over that. Now the problem with me singing is I never know how to start singing. I always start on the wrong note. So we'll see. Actually, could we stop the shopping cart? Useless Ulysses, lost on the waves. You spineless jellyfish, you should have just washed away. It wasn't me. It was my fate. Poor old Penelope, wasting all her time, waiting for her sailor boy to finally toe the line. It wasn't him, it was his fate. And then there needs to be more stuff here, so Ro's going to help me with that. And then it ends with the ocean bit. I do not know how to tune this guitar, but what are you going to do? All right, so there you go. Get ready for the full version of that song whenever Ro is finished with it. It's very exciting. You can go now with the shopping cart. Nice. All right. Well then, tell me what you thought of the album. What you think of the review? What do you think of my idea of doing I don't know, something with the World Cup? I want to do something with the World Cup. Okay, there's the camera.